Welcome to the guest blogging course. I want to quickly provide you with an introduction as to how the course is going to get organized, but also to thank you for committing your time towards learning how you can make guest blogging a bigger part of your strategy. So the way this course works is it is a very fast-paced course. I've removed all the fluff and simply given you all of the tactics that you can implement right away to see success in your guest blogging. So this isn't one of those giant courses. It's just a small course specifically designed for you to get results. So the way this course is organized is it's broken into a few sections. The first section is setting yourself up for guest blogging success. So in this section, I'll go into detail about some of the methods that once you implement these quick tactics and you build your credibility, which I'll talk about in one of the lectures, that is you setting yourself up for guest blogging success. So it's just a preparation for you to achieve success in that area. The second section is writing epic content that will get published on guest blogs. And I go deep into what it actually means to write valuable content. It's not what most people think. And I also go into detail about some of the very specific things you have to do to your content in order for it to get published on guest blogs. That's the second section. And after that section, conclusion and bonuses. So I will discuss with you how you can still utilize the course even after you have gone through all of the lectures. And I will provide bonuses for you as well, so that even after you have watched all of the lectures within the course, you still have extra content to look at that can help you take your blogging strategy even further. One of the policies that I have for all of my courses is that if you have any question, you can post it in the discussion section of this course and I will quickly get back to you. I want to be a mentor for you who helps you to achieve success in guest blogging. So any questions you have at any point through the process, if you post your questions in the discussion section or if you message me on Udemy, then I will quickly get back to you because my mission is to see you succeed. One thing I appreciate on Udemy is getting positive reviews because it gives me feedback that I can use to become a better instructor. So if you go through the course and you enjoy the content, then I highly encourage you to leave that review so that I get an idea of where my strengths were within this course so I can focus on those strengths and then make better courses for my students. As an instructor, I strive to make the best courses that my students can learn the most from. So at this point, I've gone through the introduction of this course and laid it all out. The last thing at this point is to just have fun as you go through the course. Implement the tactics in your strategy as you go through it, because the main thing about this course is that it is designed for you to take action. It's not one of those courses where you watch it and then you don't know what to do next. This course lays out the entire process for you. So just have fun with it, enjoy the process, and I look forward to seeing your future guest posts getting approved on big-time blogs. That is all for this lecture. I hope it has served you, and what I want you to do is to dream big, achieve greatness, and unlock your potential today. No matter what part you are in your guest blogging strategy, building up your credibility is essential for getting more guest blogging opportunities and getting more people to accept your pitches when you send them in. So when it comes to building up your credibility to get more people to say yes to your content, here are a few areas in which you have to build your credibility. The main area is social media and simply just growing an audience, engaging and posting valuable content. That's how you build credibility on social media. Social media is the modern version of a business card. People want to see how popular you are. People want to see the social proof. Social media is now that tool. And when you have a large audience on social media, the person with the guest blog now looks at this audience and realizes that if you promote the guest post, then that guest post is going to get a significant amount of exposure. Now, if you only have a few hundred social media followers, it's not the end of the world. There are many successful guest bloggers who only have a few hundred social media followers, but the larger your social media audience is, then the more likely you are to get guest blogging opportunities. So my advice with growing on social media is, yes, get multiple social networks because it's good to be on a bunch of them, but you want to focus most of your time on one social network. The way I look at social media and mastering all of them is parallel to mastering languages. You wouldn't want to try to learn 10 new languages at the same exact time. Instead, you would want to learn one language at a time, master that one language, and then move on to the next one. So focus on one social network, master that one social network, and then try to master another social network. And then sharing other people's content through your social media platforms is important because it indicates to someone that you would share the guest post if it were to get published. Your blog is also another great place where you can build credibility. Unlike social media, your blog is your true home on the web. There is no other people's content on your blog unless you allow people to contribute on your blog. And the key thing with your blog is quality and quantity. Because when you submit a guest post, the audience is provided for you. Now, it is helpful if you engage with your audience and you have a large audience of your own, but the point of guest blogging is you put your content in front of an entirely new audience. So the quality of your content and the amount of content on your blog plays a big impact on your credential when it comes to getting guest blogging opportunities. So when it comes to other parts of the process as to whether you're a blogging expert or not or something like that, then audience does play a stronger part of it. But when it comes to guest blogging, there is a strong focus on the actual content because the audience is provided for you. And on your blog, you can also highlight some of your credentials in the sidebar or in the About Me section, just so your audience has a better idea of some of the things that you have accomplished within your niche. So there are plenty of other ways to boost your credibility and get more guest blogging opportunities, but these 5 are the key to getting those guest blogging opportunities. And I know there are more out there. Writing a book is important because if you are a guest blogger, that means you're writing a lot of content. And if you have written a book, that separates you from a large percentage of all of the other guest bloggers out there. A training course is something very similar to writing a book. The way I like to view training courses is they are just books, but done in video form. And they sometimes have PDFs, online quizzes. So that's how I like to view training courses. They are also very helpful. Past guest blogging experience is another very useful credential to mention because if people realize that you have written guest posts for all of these other bloggers, then they will know that you are experienced, you are comfortable with writing guest posts, and then the guest blogger, the person who owns the guest blog, can rest assured that you are going to submit good content. Past speaking engagements also help. Now, again, none of these things that I say are mandatory for you to write guest posts on other people's blogs. So if you haven't written a book, that doesn't mean your chances are obsolete, but it does help, and you still have a good chance even if you don't have any of these, but they are all very helpful for you to get more opportunities. So past speaking engagements also help, and then any interviews you have had on podcast episodes or blogs, those will also help to boost your credibility when it comes to submitting the pitch for the guest blogging request. That is all for this lecture. I hope it has served you. And what I want you to do is to dream big, achieve greatness, and unlock your potential today. When you pursue the path of guest blogging, it means you are going to write your content and put it on other people's blogs. But you want to find the blogs that will present you with the most opportunities, but also be the right fit for you. So in order to find the right guest blogs for you, you have to have a strong focus on finding guest blogs within your niche. So what I will do for any niche is I will perform a Google search and simply search for the guest blogs within your niche. So as a social media expert, I will search guest blogs for social media guest blogs, and search terms that are similar to that and see what results come up. And there are some cases where numerous results will pop up. There are other instances where it will be a little more difficult to find the results, but those guest blogs are there and they are waiting for you, regardless of which niche you are in. So if you have a difficulty finding guest blogs, you can also see which guest blogs your competitors are writing for. So there are going to be people in your niche already writing guest posts. Who are they writing for? And once you know that, you can ask the person who owns the guest blog if you can also become a contributor. So that's another way that you can go about finding the right guest blogging opportunity for you. But as you come across numerous guest blogging opportunities, some opportunities will be better than others, and there will be some instances when you have to say no. It can be very difficult to say no to an opportunity, to any opportunity, but there are some points when you have to say no. And these are the three main reasons. The first is that the results are not worth the time spent. You may have to spend, for instance, let's say 5 hours to write a guest post. This is an extreme example. Most of them don't take that long. But let's say 5 hours, and you know that only 4 people are going to see that guest post. Is that something that you want to spend time doing when only 4 people are going to see it? If you love writing the content and you're okay with that, then that's one thing. But I would rather put that same piece of content somewhere else where it can be seen by thousands of people. The second reason that you would say no is that you have more important priorities. Now, you can't always use this one because this second method, I'm a little cautious of bringing this reason up because some people will use this as an excuse to avoid guest blogging in general. Now, there are some instances where, yes, more important priorities come up and you are still a guest blogger. And during those situations, that's when this reason comes into play. And then the third reason is that no matter how good an opportunity looks, you can just tell it won't work out. The requirements are too strict. It'll take you too long. Something that just tells you that it's not going to work out. I've been presented with numerous opportunities to write guest posts, some of them for some of the most highly known blogs, but I've had to reject some of them because I just knew that it wasn't going to work out for me personally, just because of my writing style. So these are the 3 main reasons why you would say no, because you are going to get a lot of opportunities. When you do that Google search, a lot of different guest blogs are going to come up within your niche, and then it's just a matter of which ones do you write for, and choosing the best ones for you is essential for you to become a successful guest blogger. That is all for this lecture. I hope it has served you, and what I want you to do is to dream big, achieve greatness, and unlock your potential today. We all understand valuable content to be something very important in blogging. We all crave it. We all want to write it so that people come to appreciate our content more. But in this pursuit of writing valuable content, learning how to make it better, and everything else with valuable content, the meaning of valuable content can sometimes get a bit blurry. So I'm going to clear up the meaning of valuable content. It's not the type of content that you think is valuable. It's the type of content that your audience thinks is valuable. So for instance, I read some articles about running, and one of the articles said something like, if you eat this diet, you'll run faster. And I know that since you are in a course about guest blogging, that article will not resonate with you nearly as well in terms of its value as an article, let's say, 10 super powerful methods to get 100,000 blog visitors per month by the end of the year. So it depends on what your audience is looking for. My audience may not find an article about a diet for running faster as a valuable article, but they would find digital marketing articles that I share as valuable. So when you're thinking about valuable content, you have to understand who your audience is and then write content that you know they would appreciate based on their interests. So for guest blogging, though, there's another dimension added to valuable content, because in guest blogging, you are not just writing for the people in the audience. You are also writing for the editor. So to understand what type of content this editor likes, look at the guest posts that have already been approved before, because these are guest posts that the editor has approved of. So if you look at these guest posts and you get an idea of how they are structured, you look at patterns they are following, how they engage the audience, then you are able to write content that appeals better to the editor and that appeals better to the audience as well, since the audience is technically reading the content that the editor has approved of. But it's not just enough to look at guest posts that have already been approved. You also want to look at the requirements that the editor gives you, just to make sure you are following the right protocol when you send in the blog post. So how many words do you need? How many pictures must you include for the guest post? Is there any other specific thing that you need to add? So look at those requirements, see what has already been approved, and then that's valuable content to the editor, which in effect will be valuable to the audience. That is all for this lecture. I hope it has served you. And what I want you to do is to dream big, achieve greatness, and unlock your potential today. One big question people have when they are writing guest posts, and especially in the beginning, is how do you pitch your content to the person who owns the guest blog? And you may realize that this video is short, surprisingly, because some people go into so much detail talking about how to pitch your content. So the main way to really pitch your content is you simply go by the requirements. So some people will request that you send them at least 3 links to some of your past works, but the rest of it is very simple. All this is a short and sweet message, because you have to realize that these people are probably getting dozens of requests just like yours every single day. And if you're targeting a really popular blog, some of them could be getting hundreds of requests every single day. So there are going to be people reading those emails who really do not want to read most of those emails and then trying to pick out the ones that are the best fit. So if your email is super long or it's hard to read, some of these people, they may just delete your message right away just to get it over with. So you want a short and sweet message. You pitch yourself in just 1 to 2 sentences. You don't want to go about, oh, I accomplished A to Z and I did all these wonderful things. This is my honor number 1. This is my honor number 10. This is my 100th honor. You don't want to pitch yourself like that, because then people are not going to read that email. You don't want to be mistaken as an egotistical person when you try to pitch yourself. So just keep it to 1 to 2 sentences so that it is easy for the person to read. It doesn't take much time. And within those 1 to 2 sentences, make the time to mention your blog and your best social media accounts. So what I will do is I will sometimes hyperlink the blog that I write on when I mention my name. So I'll say, my name is Mark Guberti, and then the words Mark Guberti, that will be hyperlinked, and then that link will lead to my blog. At other times, I'll just simply say my blog and then in parentheses, markguberti.com. So it just depends on who I'm sending the pitch to. And then you pitch the blog post idea in just 1 to 2 sentences. All you're really doing is you are stating the title of that blog post and then just another sentence about it. And then afterwards, just a short outline of the blog post. So let's say 3 ways to get more Twitter followers is the blog post idea. You just simply list the 3 different methods that you would talk about in the blog post, and maybe a sentence that goes into some detail about how you would talk about each of those methods. And that's really it. It's a short and sweet outline. You do not want it to be too long, because then the people will not bother to read it because they're getting many pitches. So your pitch will stand out for its shortness. And then if you present yourself well, these people will come to you and they'll say, I want to see your content on my blog. That is all for this lecture. I hope it has served you. And what I want you to do is to dream big, achieve greatness, and unlock your potential today. Right now, I want to take the time to congratulate you for going through the lectures, learning the content, and discovering how you can take your guest blogging strategy to the next level. At this point in the course, you can continue to ask me any questions you want about guest blogging as you go through the process. So I'm very happy to have been able to have served you. And what I want you to do is to dream big, achieve greatness, and unlock your potential today. You may be writing guest posts for other people's blogs, and you may be realizing that it takes up a good amount of time. So you may be wondering, how do I get people to write content for me? And this is a great way to save a lot of time within your blogging strategy, because instead of writing the content for your blog, other people submit their content just as you are submitting your content to other people who own guest blogs. And then the best part is that when you publish someone else's content on your blog, that person will be enticed to share your post on the blog that's their guest post to their audience. So you also get more traffic as well. So there are two types of people who are going to write for you if you choose to open your blog up to contributors. The first type of person, ghostwriter. And you primarily get ghostwriters from Upwork. Ghostwriters are people who you pay to write content for you. It's published under your name. Basically, it's all published under your name, but someone else writes the content for you for a small fee. And then the other type of person is the guest blogger, who is looking to get more exposure from their content. So the amount of guest bloggers you get, it's all based on one simple formula: your credibility plus the anticipated exposure. So is it something very notable if someone's content got featured on your blog? Is your blog an authority? The more of an authority your blog is, the more likely people are going to submit their content and ask you if that content could get featured on your blog. And then the anticipated exposure is another critical factor, because people want to know that their guest posts are going to reach a lot of people. And the way people see the exposure is they look at social media audience sizes, and if you post your blog traffic stats, they'll look at those too. So they want to see that they're going to get a lot of traffic and that your blog is a very credible place. So regardless of which type of contributor you focus on more, you want to be clear that people can write for you. And the way you do that is you prominently feature guest contributors. Jeff Bollis's blog is one of the blogs that I've been a contributor for, and at the bottom of every blog post, the guest contributor will get featured. He or she will get about 4 lines of text in which that contributor has the opportunity to promote landing pages, websites, social media accounts, and other things as well. So if you prominently feature guest contributors at the bottom of their content, then that indicates to all of the readers that you have contributors. So after reading enough blog posts on Jeff's blog, I discovered that there were contributors, and I thought, I'm going to submit my content as well, and as a result, that content got published. So you want to prominently feature those contributors for their own good, because they put in the work to make the content happen, but that also tells other contributors in the area that your blog is open to other people's content. And another place where you can be clear about the ability for someone to contribute content is in the Contact Me section. This is one of the most visited pages on the blog, along with the About Me page. So in the Contact Me section, you can say that, are you contacting me for a guest post pitch? And by doing that, you will get more pitches from more people who are willing to contribute their content for free, as long as they get the exposure. So be clear that people can write for you, and then you will slowly but surely get those pitches coming in for your blog. That is all for this lecture. I hope it has served you. And what I want you to do is to dream big, achieve greatness, and unlock your potential today. Part of an effective blogging strategy is you sending out numerous emails related to your blog. So some of these emails may be email blasts, other emails may be pitches that you send to guest blogs with your recommendation of an idea that would make for an excellent guest post. So there are many emails that we have to send as bloggers in order to get more exposure and communicate with our audiences. But as we send these emails, a common pattern emerges, and this is where efficiency can play a part in how we send our emails. So these are some of the emails that you may be sending very often, and you may realize that they have a similar pattern. So an outreach email, you're telling someone that maybe you mentioned them in one of your blog posts and you'd appreciate if that person were to share your blog post, or you just ask someone to share your blog post after you have taken the time to build that relationship with those people. So outreach emails, email blasts where you are communicating with your subscribers, and also interview requests where maybe you see a podcast and you want to offer them the time to interview you, and you want to position yourself as an expert who the person who owns the podcast would want to interview. So these are just some of the many emails that we send over and over again, all in part to grow our blog and allow more people to see it. So the way that a rubric email works is that you give yourself a summary of how every single one of your emails should go. This is the basic pattern that you can use for one of your emails. So this is an example of a pattern that I would use for potentially sending out an email blast. So you start with hello, the name of the person, and then maybe write a sentence summarizing the blog post. You say, this is the blog post that I'm going to share with you today. Something like that, but make it sound more nicer than that. Then you include a link to the blog post. So what I do in my emails is I will write the name of the blog post and then have a link to the blog post within the name of the blog post. So if I have a blog post called 3 ways to get more blog traffic, in the email it would show the words 3 ways to get more blog traffic, and then that would be a hyperlink leading to the blog post. Then I will copy and paste the first few paragraphs of the blog post, put it in that email below the link, have a quick call to action that entices people to continue reading the blog post. I'll say something like, click to continue reading. And then that's when I include a link to the blog post. That hyperlink, when clicked on, leads to the blog post. I include my signature that I always include within all of my email blasts, and then an optional PS where I may mention a previous blog post I wrote or a product that I may have recently launched or a discount that I may be having. So this is a basic rubric that you can use for creating email blasts, and I'm only showing you the rubric for email blasts because the rubrics that you create are dependent on how you communicate with your audience and how you communicate to people when you are sending out your pitches. But look at the emails you are sending, look for the common patterns, and then create a rubric like this where all you are doing at that point is simply inserting information instead of having to go back to previous emails that you have sent just to see if you are following the right protocol. Creating a rubric allows you to know what the right protocol is without you looking at any past emails that you have sent. That will allow you to save time and make it easier for you to send more emails in the same amount of time it would have taken for you to send, let's say, 1 to 5 emails. If you have any questions about blogging more efficiently, then I highly encourage you to post your question in the discussion section of this course where I will quickly get back to you. That is all for this lecture. I hope it has served you, and what I want you to do is to dream big, achieve greatness, and unlock your potential today.